Hello everybody, this is the second lecture of the IELTS. We have another question which says, choose the sentence that best paraphrases the main idea in each paragraph of the text. This question does not talk about headings. It's just like headings, but it's not headings. It talks about the main idea. They usually give you some short paragraphs and you need to read the entire paragraph to understand what it talks about. Let's come to the answers and the way how to answer it. We have a passage says magazine circulations are in the millions and advertising revenue is rising despite the growth of TV and electronic media, reports David Schott. Paragraph A says print is not dead yet, at least not when it comes to magazines. Despite ever-growing competition from TV and electronic media, a new report shows that worldwide advertising expenditure in consumer magazines has doubled over the past decade. Number 1, paragraph A. We have three options, A, B, or C. A says the amount of money spent on magazine advertising is increasing. B says the rivalry between magazines and other media is surprising. C says some magazines sell better than others. Okay, let's explain this question. This kind of questions. Look, ABC for paragraph A and ABC for paragraph B and so on. They usually give you three correct options, but you choose the one with the main idea. Let's go back to the passage and to choose which one illustrates the main idea. Print is not dead yet, at least not when it comes to magazines. Despite ever-growing competition from TV and electronic media, a new report shows that worldwide advertising expenditure in consumer magazines has doubled over the past decade. This sentence explains everything. From after the comma in the fifth line says, a new report shows that worldwide advertising expenditure in consumer magazines has doubled. That means the answer is A, because it says the amount of money spent on magazine advertising is increasing. Why? A new report shows that worldwide advertising expenditure in consumer magazines has doubled. That means it's increasing. Okay. B, the rivalry between magazines and other media is surprising. I see nothing about this here. And C says some magazines sell better than others. It doesn't talk about that at all because we need the main idea. It does not talk about competitions at all. It talks about the amount of money spent on magazine advertising is increasing. Why? Because it has doubled. This is the main idea. Okay, let's come to paragraph B. Paragraph B, we have the options are magazines are more popular than they used to be. B, a lot of people are still reading magazines. C, TV is more available than ever. Let's read the passage. The report also shows that many magazines in Europe continue to enjoy circulations in the millions, although there are more and more TV channels, whether cable, satellite, terrestrial, analog, or digital. And despite the incursion of the internet, magazines are still a regular shopping or subscription item. Okay, we have in the first lines on the first sentence, the report also shows that many magazines in Europe continue to enjoy circulations in the millions. That means a lot of people still read magazines. Okay, the last sentence in the last three lines, magazines. Magazines are still a regular shopping or subscription item. That means from the first sentence and the last half a sentence, we may call it, explain everything. Because those sentences mean a lot of people are still reading magazines. The main idea is not A, and C, it doesn't talk about the main idea at all. So B is the main idea. A lot of people are still reading magazines. Let's come to C. Number 3 says, paragraph C. A. Europe allocates a greater proportion of its advertising budget to magazines than the world average. B. Belgium and Germany spend more on magazine advertising than other European countries. C. The figures for magazine advertising in Europe are decreasing. So, let's read it. C. Advertising expenditure worldwide was $225 billion last year. According to the report World Magazine Trends, $32 billion of this, or 14%, was taken by magazines. In Europe, the share of consumer magazine expenditure was $12 billion, or 21% of an estimated overall spend of $57 billion. But the share had dropped in the past 15 years from 30%, with decline having been particularly severe in Belgium and Germany, where commercial TV was introduced relatively late. Okay, we have A, B, and C. Firstly, let me read B. It says Belgium and Germany spend more on magazine advertising than other European countries. We just extract this option. Why? Because it gives wrong information. It gives opposite information. So B is an X. We don't need it. We still have A and C. Europe allocates a greater proportion of its advertising budget to magazines than the world average. C. The figures for magazine advertising in Europe are decreasing. Okay, the answer is A. Why? That's the question. I know that some of you, or let's say at least 50% of you, would say C because it talks about decreasing. No, it doesn't talk about a decrease. The decrease is just in Belgium and Germany. We are talking about a full continent, Europe, the entire countries of Europe. Let me reread the important things and explain it more. Advertising expenditure worldwide was $225 billion last year, according to the report World Magazine Trends. $32 billion of this, or 14%, was taken by magazines. In Europe, the share of consumer magazine expenditure was $12 billion, or 21%, of an estimated overall spend of $57 billion. Okay, here it talks about what? It talks about the advertising budget, the great advertising budget in Europe. But the share had dropped in the past 15 years from 30%, with decline having been particularly severe in Belgium and Germany. That means it's just Belgium and Germany the share has dropped. The advertising money which is spent in magazines on advertising has dropped in in Belgium and Germany only, from the entire countries of Europe. So those two countries, they put those two countries to trick you because it talks about over 20 countries. So the answer is A. Europe allocates a greater proportion of its advertising budget to magazines than the world average. Okay, let's go on. D. It says, paragraph D, A. Across Europe, people read very different kinds of magazines. B. The idea of European magazine is becoming popular. C. Magazines that cover popular activities can become bestsellers. However, the type of magazines which Europeans choose to flip through still varies dramatically. That means we have different kinds according to country, with a few signs that the European magazine with a common title is making inroads across nations. Interests which can create top-selling titles in one country are uh, nowhere to be seen in the circulation lists of others. Okay, the main idea here talks about the different kinds of magazines which people read. So, A, across Europe, people read very different kinds of magazines. E. Paragraph E says, A. Cigarette advertising is banned in some countries. B. Magazines advertise a smaller range of products than TV. C. There are fewer limitations on magazine advertising than TV advertising. But whatever their relative importance across the world, magazines have one real advantage over broadcast media. No advertisers such as tobacco and oil producers, which are barred or severely restricted on TV in some countries. Magazines remain a safe haven for messages. That means magazines have fewer limitations on advertising. Let us read this. Advertisers such as tobacco and oil producers, which are barred or severely restricted on TV in some countries, magazines remain a safe haven for messages. Okay, and we go on, and new French research revealed that magazines are still powerful tools for owners of brands. So the answer here is C. There are fewer limitations on magazine advertising than TV advertising. Why? Because A talks about cigarette advertising is banned in some countries. We don't have this idea at all. Okay. B. Magazines advertise a smaller range of products than TV. No, this gives the opposite information. So C explains the sentence which I focused on, but in a different way. It says fewer limitations on magazine advertising than TV advertising. Thank you very much. It was Haidar ALcasseer with you. Please, if you find this lecture advantageous, please just to press the subscribe button, and if you have any questions, please write them in the comments, and if you have any criticism, you want to criticize anything, please write it down in the comments too. Thank you.